A few weeks ago, I drove past a house that reminded me of a family I'd helped years ago. From the road, it looked exactly the same. The front porch hadn't changed, the old oak tree was still standing in the yard, and the flower bed by the mailbox was still there. And if you didn't know any better, you'd think nothing had changed. But everything had, because the family who made that house a home had long since moved on. You know, it got me thinking. Real estate really isn't about houses, it's about the people who call them home. I'm Eddie Mann with Team George Weeks Real Estate, and I want to talk about something that almost nobody talks about. Sometimes it's okay to love a house and still leave it. I think one of the hardest things people wrestle with isn't deciding where they're going, it's deciding whether it's okay to leave the place they love. I've seen it over and over again. People feel guilty. This is where we raised the kids. That's where Dad built the swing set. This is where we celebrated Christmas. Those aren't just memories, they're pieces of your life. One of the greatest privileges I've had in this business is hearing people's stories. Not just about buying homes, but about living in them. I've walked through homes where every room had a story. They'd say, this is where our daughter took her first steps. This is where our son practiced piano. And this is where we gathered every Sunday after church. Now you can't put a price on memories like that. But here's something I've learned. The memories don't stay in the walls. They stay with the people. The house was simply where they happened, and that's a big difference. I think sometimes we confuse loving a house with believing we have to stay there forever. But life has its seasons. The house that was perfect when your children were 5 may not be the house that fits your life when they're 35. And that's not failure, that's life. Sometimes a house completes its purpose, not because anything's wrong with it, but because it faithfully served the chapter it was meant to serve. Now, I actually think that's something worth celebrating. You know, my wife and I have boxes of old family photos, and you probably do too. And every now and then we'll pull one out and suddenly we're back in the moment. We remember the laughter, the people, and the stories. But what's interesting is, we're not remembering the house, we're remembering what happened inside it, because that's what made it a home. Home has never been about drywall or hardwood floors or granite countertops. Home has always been about people. That's why I love what I do. Because real estate isn't really about houses. It's about helping people find the place they'll call home in the next season of life. Now, before anybody misunderstands me, I'm not telling you it's time to sell your house. Some of you are exactly where you need to be. But if you've been feeling guilty because you've been thinking about moving, I hope this encourages you. It's okay to love a house and still leave it. You aren't leaving your memories behind, you're taking them with you. And you just might be making room for a whole new collection of memories. You know, every home tells a story, but the question is, what story do you want your next chapter to tell? I'd love to hear from you. What's one memory you'll always associate with a home you've lived in? Share it in the comments. I promise you'll encourage someone else by sharing your story. And if you're wondering whether this season of life is leading you toward a new chapter, I'd be honored to have that conversation with you. I'm Eddie Mann with Team George Weeks Real Estate. Come on home. We've been expecting you.